Dear fellow ISSLS members, ladies and gentlemen, it is a true honor and a pleasure for me to introduce our friend Shanmuganathan Rajasekaran as recipient of the 2025 Wiltse Lifetime Achievement Award. Raja, as we call him, was born in a small village in the south of India, in a medical family. His father was an anesthetist and his mother was a homemaker and active administrator. He has one big brother, and his parents were already running a medical facility when he was young and a medical student. He benefited from an education both in India and in the UK. He got his medical degree from Madras and his FRCS from Edinburgh. He also spent time in Liverpool and became an honorary fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons of England in 2010. But his name is obviously linked to this other name, the Ganga Hospital. When he became a doctor and took over, it was a facility with 17 beds and 2 operating rooms run by his dad. Now the Ganga Hospital has 650 beds, 40 operating theatres. Last year they performed 32,000 and more major surgeries, and they see an immense amount of outpatient patients. The Ganga Hospital has several arms. There is the clinical work, there is the research work, there is academics, but the last pillar sets him very much apart, and that is the social work that is being done under his leadership at the Ganga Hospital. Indeed, he launched an operation Straight Spines, where major surgery is being performed with less than $2,000 US. Up to now, more than 5,000 major spinal deformities, spinal infections and trauma victims have been operated under the subsidy or free of cost to the patient. This led, understandably, to the Scoliosis Research Society to grant him the Walter P. Blunt Humanitarian Award for outstanding service to those with spinal deformities through his generous actions. This was indeed well deserved. The Harvard Business School recognizes this Ganga Hospital low-cost, high-quality model and uses it to teach their students what is all possible with a small budget. And it is a chapter in our own ISSLS Lumbar Spine book. Section 6, Chapter 2 is devoted on this model of high-quality spine care with a small budget. Now, of course, if you perform that kind of major surgeries, you need to have rehabilitation to follow. And the Ganga Spine Injury Rehabilitation Center offers that service. But more than that, it even helps people to train them from their bedside to even Paralympics. And more than 2,300 paraplegics have been trained in this center so far. Raja, here I have to talk to you personally. I don't know where he's sitting there, but I think you're slackening, and you have to look at your team from close by, because some of them didn't read the memo. There are 3 members of your team who haven't grown their moustache. So please do something about that. Raja has done major research accomplishments, and this all through the Ganga Research Center, which was built at a cost of $3 million. And they work on proteomics, genomics, metabolomics, and cell culture. And his unit was the first research center to be recognized by the Department of Biotechnology from the government of India. for Advanced Center for Research in Spinal Disorders. Stanford University and Elsevier ranked him amongst the top 2% of scientists in their list of 2024. And this based on numerous publications, chapters in books, chief editor of books themselves, and many teaching all over the world. He obtained 4 years continuously the Outstanding Paper Award in 2019, 2021 and 22 from the Spine Journal of the North American Spine Society. Here at ISSLS, he won the ISSLS prize 6 times. Maybe we should change the name of the award and call it the Raja Award. He's had 4 times the ISSLS Best Podium Presentation. He also was awarded the McNabb La Rocca Award and led our ISSLS debates twice. He was the beneficiary of the Hunterian Professor appointment by the Royal College of Surgeons of England in 2012. He's really a leader in his profession. And there are so many achievements that it is easier to mention what Raja actually never was. He never was medical director of FIFA. He never was medical director of the International Olympic Committee. And he never became Prime Minister of India. But who knows? You see his many achievements. Now, I have been told, it has been actually whispered in my ear, that sometimes, for the sake of research in kyphosis, Raja walks the corridors of the Ganga Research Center with all his medals at the same time on his neck, and that he walks bent forward as a research subject. Thank you, Raja, for your commitment to science. You would think that with all his achievements, there is no time for family. Not so. Raja is married to Rama, who often accompanies him at meetings. She's here today, and which is classical for grandparents. I'm a grandfather myself. You skip the children, it's the grandchildren that are of importance. And here you see that the Raja family will carry on and is in good hands. So, as for year G, I invite you to go to the proper article in Spine, where you can read in extenso the profile of our friend Raja, a really deserving of the Wiltse Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you very much.
I should say it's one of the most important moments in anybody's life to be bestowed with such a big honor. And if I look at all the people who have received, 21 people I should say, who have received the award earlier, you cannot but be terribly humbled with whose group you are joining. And this is especially true for me, for what has ISSLS created a change in my life. I am from a place where there are 1.4 billion people. Every day there is a lot of work to do, a lot of challenges, medical challenges, and we consider ourselves, as we are trained, that our primary role is to provide medical service and not research. There's a lot of these accidents, so saving lives, saving limbs, and correcting deformities actually can occupy a whole of your life. And that is what would have actually been done, but for a strange event that one of my articles was published in JBJS, and I was going through it, and on the last page, in those days their advertisements used to be there for fellowship. And so I applied and I got selected for this traveling fellowship to Marseille. And there it was completely a big change in my life. I went there to learn how the Europeans and North Americans were operating and to put screws and rods, and instead half the papers I could not understand. because it was biomechanics, muscle, cartilage, something that made me understand that spine surgery is not just operating, but there is more to spine than the surgery itself. And rubbing shoulders with great people like Alfred Atkinson, it was really a moment of consciousness building inside, where we knew that you have to operate only as the last resort. In one of the main important ISSLS meeting, which I would never forget, he put up a X-ray like this and asked all the people, how many of you would operate for this 40-year-old who has got occasional back pain with lysis? Almost 86% said they would operate. And then he said, it is your wife's X-ray, how many would you operate? It fell down to nearly 45. And then he said, it is your X-ray, how many of you would get operated by 336 degree fusion? There were only 4%. That was a moment of enlightenment for me, that we should treat our patients just as we would treat for us. And that was the reason that we added research into this, and if the hospital has grown so big, it is not because we operate too much, but because we operate with consciousness and good ethics. Gordon Finlay was the person who proposed me to ISSLS. And when I told him, he said, Raja, you should not become a member, you should aim to get the ISSLS prize once. And so we started applying for the ISSLS prize. And in 2004, when we got the first prize, there were two things big for us. The $15,000 excited us because it was going to fund our next research, because we didn't have any research money at that time. And also it gave our whole team a big uplift of self-esteem. And that actually boomeranged, and it actually made bigger. And we were able to get the $3 million infrastructure with almost the latest. I would like to thank all our clinical team and the research team for the extraordinary work that they have done, which has lifted us to the world stage. So thank you, ISSLS, for making this great change in my life, converting me from a surgeon to a clinical scientist, and that I am 100% sure that my surgical career would not have been so meaningful, so exciting, so interesting, but for the fact that I had ISSLS into me for her. So in the next 2 minutes, I would like to thank people who made it possible. So my brother and I always consider that we were very lucky to have what we call as good ovarian lottery. I mean, we were born to parents who instilled the best values in us, who taught us that we should work hard. They put us the best consciousness in us, and more than important, because my father also was a doctor, he always said, put your patient first before anything else. And true to their values, that we worked very hard, and whatever we have achieved, we have not achieved by a single person. It has been by the whole family, my brother and his wife, my wife and I, we all work together. And I always feel and know for sure that twin engine is more powerful and a plane that flies longer. And I would like to thank Rama for sharing my ambitions, for putting her strength before me. And if I would say, it would be a fair statement that her engine was much stronger and more powerful and working longer than my engine on this side. So I think this year is going to be our 40th wedding anniversary. 4 decades of togetherness has made so much purposeful for us. So we have a son and a daughter. I would say the 2 chambers of my heart, really good. My daughter is married and my son is an orthopedic surgeon. Only thing he took up from me was that not to become a spine specialist, and he took up arthroplasty instead. And my children and my brother's children grew together, and we always called it as not my children but our children, and this was one of the most important things, that we grew up all together. And my children were much better than me. I had 2 children, but they all had 3 each, and they gave me half a dozen grandchildren. So they were more productive than me, and these are the sweet moments of my life where so many people ask me in the last few days, what do you do when you have free time? And now you know I have my hands full with so many grandchildren running around. So the Ganga family also was one of the, I would say, the other part of the family. We all grew up together. They shared our ambitions. They looked at ethical practice, very hard working, and looked into achievement of both clinical excellence and research. And now we are, what started with few people, we are now more than 250 doctors working together. So but all together, we became a world-renowned institute, not because of only surgical expertise, but also of the great research that we do. And that, I would say, is because of ISSLS, and a heartfelt thanks to ISSLS for not just only this award, but the extreme transformation it created in our surgical life. So thank you very much for this honor. Thank you.